Echo it all. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show Live. I am so excited to be hanging out with Mike C-Roc. He is the co-founder of the new company Blueprint, which we're going to be talking about. But more than anything, I'm excited because he actually has a book called Rocket Fuel, talking about how you turn setbacks into rocket fuel. We're going to be getting into that. You're going to get to know Mike on this show. I am so excited to be shredding with him this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, volume up. You want to pay attention because this show is going to be absolutely on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, come with us. It's time to shred. Down packs. Mike, excited to have you on the show, brother. I'm excited to kind of get into some fun conversation. Excited to talk about your book, Rocket Fuel. But before we get into all of that, I mean, you and I are both mortgage professionals. We kind of, that's what we have in common, and now entrepreneurs, growing businesses. But before we get into Rocket Fuel, you've been in the mortgage business since 2006? You've been in it for a while, and now you're kind of transitioning out of that. You have a few other projects going on, but how did you get started in the mortgage business? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so I got in right before the the 2008 thing that everybody knows about. But I was in real estate before that. I was a top producing real estate agent, and I had my best friend was in the mortgage business, and I would send him all my clients. And then I just started hating showing people houses. Man, it just wasn't me. I didn't like being that person going around. No offense to anyone that does that and loves it, but it just wasn't me. So I told my buddy, I said, "Man, I'm getting in the mortgage business with you," and he's like, "No, you're not." So I do what I want to do. So
nice.
I'm a little inexorable. There's a new word that I found recently. Inexorable. Write that down.
Inexorable.
It means unyielding or unable to be stopped. So when I want something, Josh, I go get it, and there's
no stopping.
Yeah, it's just the way it is, and I work for it. It's not something that's given to me, but I just go. So I went into the business, got licensed, started as a loan officer. Did very well the first year. 2006. No, it was late 06. So 07, great year. Then into 08, still made more money than 07. And then I continued even through the 08 meltdown. I still made more money every year and developed a team, and then decided to start branches in a division, despite the owner of the company we work for saying that he thought we were going to fail. Of course, I'm inexorable. Since when you're inexorable, you keep going anyway. Doesn't matter what people say. And we developed up to 7 branches, 40 employees. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
That's crazy. And now you just continue to grow. And like you and I were kind of talking, both of us have kind of transitioned away from it. We have teams that are still in it, which is awesome. But now, like you've co-founded Blueprinted, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But more than anything, dude, you wrote a freaking book, which I am so excited. I'm excited to be talking about your book, Rocket Fuel, number one, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's got the book right there. So tell us a little bit about why write a book? I mean, writing a book is a labor of love. People are like, well, you wrote a book because book sales are going through the roof right now, which your book is a number one Amazon seller, which congratulations on that. That's freaking awesome. But why write a book? Why did you decide to write a book?
Well, so I'm mentored by Grant Cardone. So when you're mentored by someone, you just look at their body of work and you follow the blueprint. And when you follow a blueprint, the 10X rule, sell or be sold, be obsessed or be average. I mean, all these books that came out by him. And then what he did was he repackaged those, repurposed them into programs and all that, and did like 17 different things off of one book. And so that's the start. But before that, I was at the 10X Growth Conference in Miami back in 2019. And I just lost my stepfather to a heart attack suddenly. And I was going through I don't know if it was a midlife crisis or what it was, but I was just turned 40, somewhere 42. And I was going through this self-assessment phase. I was like, there's something going on in my life. I got to figure this out, because no matter what happens to me in my life, setbacks, disappointments, screw-ups of my own, my graphs kept going up. My relationships gotten better, my finances, my career, everything started going up regardless of what's happened to me. And I had to figure this out. I was just like trying to assess it. And by the way, elevation comes from assessment. So if you don't know where you are, you're not going to go where you want to go. So
that's awesome.
I had to assess, and I looked back and I saw what I was doing was I was taking everything that was coming my way, all that toxicity, all that negative stuff, and I was storing it in my tank instead of my trunk where it would weigh me down. And my tank, meaning my fuel tank. And I was turning everything into rocket fuel, for my future to become unstoppable. Because you see, if you take everything out of your way that would stop you or slow you down and not just move it, you convert it into fuel. You don't just get back to where you were before the setback, you blast through it. And that's what it's all about. It's about getting into outer space away from gravitational pull and suppressors.
That's so let me ask you this. Go ahead. Keep going then.
So real quick. So then I went to the 10X Growth Conference right after that.
Yeah,
and I saw a guy named Pete Vargas. I don't know if you know Pete.
I do.
It's a friend of mine that I didn't know him at the time, but he was speaking on stage and it was his first big audience. And he was sweating and his face looked scared. He'll tell you the story. I'm not ragging on him, but he was scared looking. He was like, but he did a phenomenal job. And he told a story about his father and their relationship. And I'm like, wow, man, I felt like everybody else in the crowd disappeared. And it was just me and Pete. He was talking to me. And I'm like, this is powerful. I need to learn how to do this. And if Pete can do it because he's sweating and scared, I can do it. That's the only thing I'm saying about Pete, because Pete's phenomenal, by the way. I just saw that he was scared. And I'm like, if he's scared and he's doing this, man, this is something I can do. So I told my buddies that I was with that I got a story to tell. I didn't think anybody cared about the story before. I was embarrassed to tell the story. And the most important part of it is I underestimated the power of sharing your story and how it can inspire millions and millions of people. So that's what inspired me to write the book. And it just came about as I, evolved as I was in the mentorship under Grant and several other people. And Grant wrote the foreword too, by the way. If you can
I was going to say, there's foreword by Grant Cardone. Yeah. Grant Cardone is it's funny because he's one of those guys for me too. I mean, from 10X to all the books he's written, I listened to those, and listening to Grant was one of those things that pushed me. One of the reasons I started Shred was listening to, some of his books, some of the things that he was doing. And I'm like, hey, I have an opportunity, and not from a selfish standpoint, but like, hey, Grant has impacted the lives of so many people, like you are doing right now with Rocket Fuel. Each of us have this unique opportunity to touch people's lives in a unique way, to impact them, to help them, to get them to that place. And like you said, we all have setbacks. We all have things that we go through that seem like we cannot overcome them. Yeah. But each of us, whether we're through content that we're creating, through writing a book, we have that opportunity to impact those people's lives. So it is our responsibility to put ourselves in these type of situations, to do a podcast, to write a book, so we can inspire those next people. Because you never know. Again, look what Grant's done for you. Look what Grant's done for me. So he's pushing us. He's inspired us. And now how many people have we helped? That's that mentality.
Multiples. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's about not just adding people to your following and students to the game and all that. It's multiplying. And he talks about that all the time. 10X rule was multiplying. So my mission, once I saw that and I saw what he did for me, my team, my family, was to, I got to extend this out. And, I got to come up with my own brand, but I'm going to also talk about and dedicate things to 10X, because 10X is that, powerful. And it's done such a great job for me and everything that I'm doing. And this book here, like I said, this has been inspired by 10X. And Rocket Fuel is how I describe what 10X does. So that's what this was all about. And, when people read this book, it's all about becoming unstoppable. Everybody wants the life of their dreams. And I have a mission that I filter everything through, which is all people. Because by the way, that's important for diversity and inequality right now, especially in times like this. I care about every single person on this planet. If I can touch every single person, I want to do that. All people are unstoppable to live in the life of their dreams. And that's my mission. So I filter everything through that. And that's where it came about. So,
and that's just it, especially with going through the pandemic that we have. There's a lot of people's mindset that is not in the right place. There's a lot of people who are like, this messed people up, Mike. And that's where we have this opportunity through your book, through what we're doing, creating content, is we want to help people through that. If there's a little inkling of I love that, going back to what you said a second ago, it's not about the followers. It's not about the likes. There may be a person on this show who doesn't like it, who doesn't comment, who doesn't say anything, who's just in the background, but they see this today and it inspires them. It helps them. It helps fuel them to get through whatever they're struggling with right now. That's that mentality that you and I have. That value, again, is not for us so much. It's really about becoming unstoppable. It's really about pushing through the diversity and coming out on the other side stronger than you've ever been. And that's what we want to help people with. That's our ultimate goal.
Yeah. And let me take you back a ways so you understand where this spark got lit. I came from a broken home. I don't remember my parents together. And in that life, for anybody that's listening or watching that has split up parents, divorced parents, you understand the every other weekend thing, the child support battles, the custody battle things, all that stuff. And then you add step parents into the mix and then their agendas, and it really gets convoluted. And so as a kid, when the parents don't act like adults and they're still immature and they're not getting along and all this conflict's going on, it pours down onto the kids. And that's what happened to me. When I was 8, my mom was moving into her 3rd marriage, and she was moving into another man's house. And I just didn't want to, by the way, that's my stepdad that took over as a dad to me. And he was phenomenal. He passed away in 2019. But at the time, when I was in 08, I didn't realize that. I just didn't want to go into another man's house.
Sure.
And so I decided to try my dad's house, and he was marrying his 2nd wife, and thought that would give that a try. And it started out great. But after, a few months go by, there was conflict with the parents and step parents and all that. And I got it, a lot of it taken out on me. I dealt with a lot of psychological, mental abuse, threats. I used to sleep with a baseball bat when I was 9 years old.
Jeez, man.
Because I was, living in an insecure feeling area, and it's just not a good thing for a kid. However, at some point, I thought this was all ordinary, by the way, but at some point, and I talk about this in the book, I go into detail, which is something that's, it's hard to talk about because I don't want to bash anybody, but I just want to share the story so that it can impact someone or millions of people. But at some point, I realized it wasn't ordinary. I realized that it's like, you're not supposed to live in this kind of thing. So my mom eventually got wind of this from me, and I shared what was going on, and she filed court papers. And Josh, she said it to me at that time. She's like, look, I'm going to file court papers to get you out, but you cannot leave me hanging. You cannot leave me out on a limb and flip flop. You need to stick to your guns. If you really believe in this, and they're going to try to talk you out of it. And in life, when you believe in something, people will try to talk you out of it to match their agenda. Or if you're getting advanced in some area, they're going to try to pull you back down, which is a great lesson at 10 years old to learn. So wrapping this up, I go back and forth to my mom's and dad's over the other weekends. I'm waiting for these papers to be delivered. And I go to school, come back, nothing happens. One day I came home and there was tension filled in the house. I could just feel it, man. Something wasn't right. And my dad had these papers in his hand. And he said, go to your room. And my dad was my hero, man. Like he was a mason. He had big forearms and rough hands from hard work. And, I always looked up to him for that. And he carried a wad. If you know anything about construction and Italian guys, they don't carry a wallet. They carried a wad of, $100 bills with rubber band around
Stacked,
it.
Yep.
And I used to love, I thought that was the coolest thing. He used to show it to me. So he comes back to my room and he says, hey, it says here you want to move in with your mom. I don't understand this because you got everything here that you want. You got it made. They're poor. She's moving on to her 3rd marriage. Men coming in and out of the house. I mean, and this is the stuff that I had to hear as a kid. It was,
man,
which is not
That's
right.
Crazy.
So I said, you know what? I'm not discussing this. And here I am, like 10 and a half years old. I'm not discussing this. Sticking to my guns. And he says, okay. So he takes that wad out, peeled one off, crumpled it up, and threw it at me. Said, here, you're going to need this then when you're living on the streets with your mother one day.
Ooh,
and that's when the spark was lit, brother. That's when now I've been always called stubborn and hard-headed my whole life. And I always used to think it was like a bad thing. And it was meant to be like a dig at me by my step parents or my dad or what have you. So, but now I look back, and if you're stubborn on the right thing, which is inexorable, stubborn in the Merriam-Webster dictionary says perversely unyielding. If you're on the right thing and you're stubborn or inexorable, dude, you're on the right track. And so I stuck to my guns, and that little spark that was lit though, that's what rocket fuel is, dude. That's where it was started. For 30 some years, I've been driving off that moment, because when things get tough, I don't let up, because I know I can't let him win. And all my life I've been doing this. And like I told you, when I did that assessment, anybody that tells me I can't do something, somebody screws me over. If I mess up, dude, I just convert. And it's elevated me to levels I can't even imagine.
Well, see, and that's telling your story, sharing that, because so many people today, I'm sure everybody that you've impacted thus far, everybody listening on the show today is like, hey, you know what? If Mike's gone through it, like, hey, I've gone through something. I know I can get through this. And that's what we're all about, is trying to help people through those times, putting the past behind us, letting it be our rocket fuel to our success in the future. Letting it not stop us, not letting it drag us down to these depths of despair, but pulling us up, like saying, hey, you know what? We can do this together. We can absolutely make it through this. And I love it. I love the message, man. And that's why, if you want a copy of Rocket Fuel, guys, we're actually going to give away a copy. I didn't even tell Mike this. We're going to give away a copy of Rocket Fuel. So comment right now, hashtag Rocket Fuel in the chat, whether you're on IG or if you're on if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're at, comment hashtag Rocket Fuel. And we're going to give away a copy of Mike's book. I'm excited because this is one of those that when you meet somebody who has a background like Mike. We want to give back to him and what he's doing. And we want to serve you guys too. So comment #Rocket Fuel right now, and we'll choose somebody to get a copy of Mike's book. Oh, we got comments coming on Twitch too. We got people. I forgot we were even on Twitch this morning, man. We're on every possible platform. So we got Rocket Fuel over on Twitch, guys. Thanks so much for sharing. #Rocket Fuel. Paul Tolson. Oh, over on IG. #Rocket Fuel. So Mike, you go through all this, you've written this book now, you're impacting people's lives, yet you're still an entrepreneur. You're still finding ways to continue to, hey, like you said, you have that fuel in you now. You want to continue to do new things. So you've just started a new company as well. You're not, well, I guess newish, Blueprinted. Let's kind of talk about that, because now you've started Blueprinted. And what is Blueprinted all about?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm a spiritual being, by the way, that I have unlimited potential. I absolutely believe that, and I live that way. So, I just keep creating, looking for opportunities to create with people. And what I'm very good at, one, is connecting the right people with the right people. And I'm also very good at finding people that can do things that don't take up my time, but we can still accomplish things together. And so I met a guy on IG Live, DMing people on IG, Jared Yellen, and he's the founder of Sela Labs, which is basically a tech incubator, but it's not like any tech incubator. It's one that actually co-founds companies for people. With people, and they do all the stuff non-tech entrepreneurs do that non-tech entrepreneurs can't do. The non-tech entrepreneur still does what they do and their strengths. So it's a great marriage. And we co-founded Blueprinted with Jared Yellen, and Blueprinted, for just to basically put my stake in the sand. Digital video courses suck and they don't work.
Love it.
And I got sick of it. I do have digital training courses and I do use them, but for the most part, 83.6% of people do not complete digital training courses.
Wow. That's
okay.
Huge.
So if that's the case, that means that the success rate is under 20%. Marketers are making money. Good marketers that can sell and create great funnels and all that are making money without the concern of their students or their consultants, without the success in mind. And that's a problem to me. That was an ethical dilemma that I saw with digital training courses, and I will challenge anybody on that. And I looked into the reasons, and I wrote this big list of why things aren't working on digital training courses. One, people lose interest. They don't finish the course. They don't retain the content. They get distracted. When they do complete it, they look around and say, what's next? What's the first step? What's the next step? How many steps are there? So what we've created with Blueprinted is for successful people that can reverse engineer their success in an algorithmic step-by-step process. We've created a project management software inside of our marketplace called Blueprinted. It's Blueprinted, not UE. And basically can sell the blueprint to their success to the marketplace. Also, people can go in there. It's a social media platform too. And there's communities can be built inside of it. And also another problem was accountability with digital video training courses. So how can we fix that? Well, we've got a nudging feature that will send you text reminders, or it'll integrate with calendars, so that you can see on Monday, you're supposed to do this, Tuesday, you're supposed to do this, Thursday. And one other thing, entrepreneurs, a lot of times will work like 20 hours in a day because they think, I got to get everything done and I'm not getting enough done. And really, if you just know exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it, you can work smarter, still work hard, but work smarter and get a lot more accomplished in a shorter amount of time if you know exactly what you need to do. And that's what this is all about. This is an industry disruptor, and I cannot wait to get this out to the market.
I was going to say, and it's not even out yet. I know we were kind of talking about that, but it's coming. I love the idea of the social, like having another social platform. Some people are like, oh, there's enough social platforms out there. But these smaller ones that I'm seeing that does allow you to build a community, build a tribe, really get to know people. You and I were talking about this. I look at what Gary Vaynerchuk has done recently and like his community, that loyal following, but they support one another. That's exactly what you're building. Like you're bringing together this tribe of people. You're bringing together this community so we can, like the discussion we're having today, others can come in. Others can be part of the discussion. They can be part of the solution, helping others, motivating other people. So I'm excited for it. I think both of our IGs just swiped off, and that's why both you and I are swiping like, oh crap, IG just went off.
There we go.
But
it's back up.
No, this is one of those. It's one of those projects where I know getting to know you as I have, it's coming from a place of like, hey, again, we want to serve others. We want to help other people. We want to get them together. So ultimately they can share their stories. They can share their experiences and we can rise to the top together. That's what we want to see. So is it,
without a doubt.
When is it launch? You have any idea when the actual launch is coming?
We're supposed to be hopefully in the next 60 days. With tech, it can be, there's no set time. So I'm looking to be in about 60 days from now. We're having a meeting tomorrow to update. But look, here's the other thing. If there's websites that people wanted developed back in the day when websites first came out, most people didn't want to develop their own websites. So they would have somebody be a web developer. Yeah. Well, we're going to have an industry created from this app, this product, because there's going to be people that have content, but they don't want to create their own blueprint in a project management software. So there's going to be an industry created that are, they're going to be people that are blueprinters, and they're going to make blueprints for people from their content. So this is all, I mean, there's so much with this. And that's one thing about tech. It's unlimited scale, man.
Yeah. And there's so many possibilities right now too. And I think sometimes, I mean, going back to our industry, going back to the mortgage industry, sometimes we get so set in what we're doing, we don't look at other things that are happening around us. Tech, and I mean, fintech is a huge word. There's a lot of fintech companies popping up, but this, what you're talking about, this opens up what else that you want to do as well. And this blueprinted kind of gives you that opportunity to move in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt, man.
Man, that's super exciting. Well, I want to start wrapping things up here. You've been super generous with your time, Mike. I really appreciate you talking about Rocket Fuel. And like I said, we're going to be giving away. So if you guys haven't commented already, yeah, we lost on IG. Yeah, I think we're back on IG, guys. Sorry about that. I have no idea. I think one of those, that's the one thing with IGTV. Sometimes a call comes in and it throws it off, but I think we're back here on IG. Appreciate you guys staying with us on it. But if you guys haven't commented, comment hashtag Rocket Fuel right now, and we will give away a book to somebody who has commented on one of our social media platforms. And Mike, and actually, I was going to ask you this. It's Audible right now too. You can go listen to the book on Audible.
No, you can't yet, man. I want to get some hard copies out there, because I feel, and I'm going to do Audible, but I feel that having this on a coffee table after you're reading it, or sitting on a bookcase, is so important. It's a beautiful book, by the way.
It is.
I didn't do this, by the way. So shout out to Pitch Freak, Antonio White, who did the design. But this needs to sit places, man. And Audible will be coming. And for people that don't read, buy the book anyway and sit it on your coffee table so somebody can see it, and maybe they'll pick it up and read it, because that's important to me. So I wanted to hold off on the Audible for that reason. And again, I'm not worried about the necessarily sales of the book. Like, I just want this to get out into people's hands and then sit somewhere so they can see it. And then we'll get the Audible going next.
I love it. I say, guys, we're going to give you a copy. We want to get a copy in your hands. So like I said, comment hashtag Rocket Fuel, and we're going to pick a winner, and we'll send you guys out a copy of the book. I'm excited to get a copy of the book so it can sit on my shelf. Like you said, that's a dang good looking book, Mike. I'm excited to have it on my shelf behind me and promote it. But cannot thank you enough for taking your time out today, talking about Rocket Fuel, talking about your experiences. And again, really motivating those other people, sharing your story so they can go out, so they can turn those setbacks that they're having, turn those times of difficulty into rocket fuel, pushing them onto their future successes. So thanks so much for joining us, Mike. Really appreciate it. Much more to come. You're going to have to stay tuned for Blueprinted as well, because that is just around the corner. And we're going to keep everybody in our community up to date, because I'm excited for it as well. So ladies and gentlemen, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you guys to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See you guys. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you again so much for joining us for today's show. If you like the content, make sure you hit that like button below. And if you already haven't subscribed to our channel, click right over here and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to see our latest video, click over here. And again, if you want to see the best of daily content within the mortgage and real estate industries, you have to subscribe now. We look forward to having you shred with us every single day.